I sold a booster box for over 10 times what I bought it for, and some people told me I didn't make enough money on it. I'm going to tell you a quick story about a booster box that I sold that really grew in value. It was Ancient Origins, and in 2025, I had decided that I was ready to sell some of my booster boxes that I was sitting on. I wasn't sitting on them to make them increase in value, it just happened to happen. I was planning to open them, which actually, obviously, in hindsight, I'm really glad I didn't open them. In total, I had sold about 5 booster boxes. Ancient Origins, Steam Siege, Fusion Strike. I can't remember all of them now, but I'll put their pictures up here so you guys can see which ones I sold. Made about 10K in selling those booster boxes. Pretty close to, at least. So the reason I'm making this video is because I want to highlight a little bit about how greedy the hobby has become. And to no fault of the people that were telling me that I wasn't making enough. Like, I get it. You see a big shiny number on eBay, so you're gonna be like, dude, get the most money possible. But obviously being the only person that's hands-on with the product that I was sitting on, and also being in the situation that I was in, I'm not really dying for anything. I just thought it would be appropriate to move these items now before my toddler gets them and maybe destroys them by accident. And they were just taking up space. And we're really just in a phase of trying to make more space at home. Little guy's getting bigger, getting more mobile, getting into things. And so I was like, okay, it's probably just not safe to sit on these and to keep them in the home anymore. So I decided to sell. Context, I don't know if I can find the receipts anymore. Maybe I can find them in my old history, but I actually bought most of these booster boxes on Amazon. I bought them way back, I think in like 2018, 2019, when I first started getting back in the hobby again. And I'm pretty sure for Ancient Origins, I'm almost certain I paid less than $200. I think I actually paid less than 150, but if I can find the receipts, I'll share them. But that means I sold it for 6,000. Like I said, it's way over 10x the amount that I paid. So what's the deal with the greed that I'm talking about? I had several friends, and also I had popped into it was like a local card show, just to kind of flash the product and see if anyone was willing to bite in person before I sent it off for consignment. And yeah, everyone was like drooling. People were literally like salivating. I can only describe this one guy I came across as incredibly horny. And I was like, oh, okay, this is almost uncomfortable because I had my duffel bag full of my stuff and I was like holding it tight to me. But when I told him what I had, he was like, oh, really? I want to see it. And I was like, yeah, sure. I'm happy to let you see what it looks like. And you can maybe you throw me an offer if you're interested. So I took it out. And the moment he laid eyes on it, he was like, oh my God. Okay. And it was like, I got secondhand embarrassment. I'm sure he's a nice dude, but I was like, that is so not the way to... Like, he was like, obviously, if you're gonna behave like that, I'm gonna be like, yeah, give me way more money. But like a few people in my circle, when I told them the amount that I was expecting to get from the consignment, from the valuation, and from the buyer that was lined up, which was for that one box about 6,000, and they were like, oh no, dude, that's not enough. You gotta hold out for 10K. And it's because I think I still have the screenshot because one of the last solds on eBay was like 11,000, something like that. But the fact of the matter is, like, my box was not pristine. It wasn't graded, obviously, and it wasn't actually even in a case. It was not loose. I had them in boxes. All of my booster boxes were secure in a box, but that box has moved with me several times. Like, I've always tried to be very careful with my sealed product, but I mean, that box, and it was almost 10 years old. You know, it's like 7-8 years old now. And so to expect it to get like mint prices on like eBay, it just wasn't realistic. To me, it wasn't realistic. And also the fact of the matter is, like, I'm about to make $6,000, and I'm not going to keep flashing the number, but I'm about to make this much money from selling a box of cardboard. And I don't know, maybe there's some incredibly rare stuff in there, but like, you know, I'm just not in that season of life anymore. And to be honest, I've never been like a poke investor. I think it's cool. I have actually nothing against people doing that. Obviously, it's like beating out 401ks and, you know, better than stocks to invest in Pokemon cards. But like, that wasn't my goal. I just got very lucky in that this one sealed product just skyrocketed in value. And so, to be honest, getting rid of it felt like a huge weight off my shoulders. Actually, when I decided to start selling it and people started messaging me, and, you know, because I told some friends who had some connections, then I was just getting texts like, hey, I know someone might be interested. Hey, I know someone might be interested. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But then like this pressure and this sort of like stress came on over me because I'm just not really, it's just not my scene. I just was like, I'm a collector and I'm happy to part with stuff if it's very simple for me. And that's why I went consignment. And to be honest, I'm way more than happy with what I got. Like, I don't subscribe to the mentality where it's like, oh, I lost $4,000 because I sold it for X. I made my money back and then some for sure. Because when I bought it on Amazon of all places, I paid like I paid like pennies in comparison. So to me, I didn't lose any amount of money. Again, especially because like it wasn't graded. It wasn't in perfect condition by any means. Like, it wasn't damaged. I know that as a total fact. It was fully sealed. I kept it as safe as I could. But to me, it's just not realistic to look at like eBay pricing for something and then be like, that's the price for sure. I would say eBay is still like a guideline, especially if you're looking at last sold. That's fair to look at that as a market pricing, but it's just like, I still call that a ballpark. You know, there's still condition. I also just couldn't believe how quickly people around me became like experts. You know what I mean? And this is not a dig at them. It's like, I know they had my best interest at heart. They were trying to, you know, give me advice. But it's like, when did you become a professional appraiser? Like, we're looking at the same listing. I know for sure. And I'm just putting it out there. If you guys are sitting on some product, yeah, do your best to get the most value out of it. I also say it's a pretty toxic way to look at a hobby, a kid's toy, and be like, you know, ching $signs only. Like, I made money off of it. I know I did, but I was just so taken aback by, they were almost insulted when I was like, oh yeah, I'm going for this price. I'm happy with that price. It was just interesting to see some of the text back where it's like, all right, man, it's your choice. Could be a rich guy. And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm not getting rich off any of this. I don't really have a moral to the rest of this story. It was just something I wanted to share in case anyone else has a similar experience or is going through a similar experience. If you're lucky enough to know a shop that's trusted and have good people running it, like B over at Cherry Bomb Toys, then that's super lucky. For me, it took all the stress off because I literally was like, oh, here comes my kid. I was really like, here it is. I trust you guys. We signed an agreement and I got paid. I got paid. And I know, I'm just talking.
Daddy's talking.
Okay, video's over. I got paid and I don't have to stress about having this guy destroy that product anymore. I'll see you guys on the next video.